Oh, the depths of human depravity. Once again today, we see deception on top of deception, as family members seem to be in a race to the bottom to see who can cheat the other more. Yesterday, it was Laban who tricked his nephew Jacob into marrying both of his daughters, first Leah, the older daughter, then the one Jacob loved, Rachel, the younger daughter. Today, years have passed, children have come into the picture, and Jacob decides it is time to return home to Canaan and face his brother Esau. But before he does, he needs to settle accounts with Laban. It is a wild, wild story. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Friday, October 20th, 2023. The story reads pretty quickly, but it clearly takes place over a period of months at a minimum. Here's the setup. Jacob perceives it is time to head back to Canaan. Why now? It's not entirely clear. One possibility is tension between Jacob on the one hand and Laban and Laban's sons on the other. Another possibility is that there just wasn't room enough for everyone in their growing flocks and families. Yet another possibility is that Jacob needed to distract his fractious family, for by now, between Leah, Rachel, and two of Rachel's maids, Jacob has had no fewer than 12 children, and his wives are at war with each other. Whatever the reason, Jacob approaches Laban and asks him to release him and let him return to Canaan. Laban agrees, and notes that through the power of divination he has learned that his prosperity has come because of Jacob. Laban asks Jacob what he thinks a fair division of assets would be, and Jacob proposes dividing the flocks based on their coloration. Laban would keep the ones without spots or speckles, while Jacob would take all the ones that were spotted or speckled or striped. Everything goes according to plan. Jacob goes through the flocks looking for all the speckled and spotted sheep and all the spotted goats. But you just know this wouldn't be without drama or someone scheming against someone else. Couldn't be that easy. Before Jacob could go through the flocks to cull out the speckled and spotted ones, Laban has already gone through, culled them out, and sent them away with his sons several days away. Jacob is left looking in vain for the ones Laban has agreed to give him. So now it's Jacob's turn, and his plan is ingenious, if to our ears a bit far-fetched and odd. You have to hear it straight from Genesis to believe it. Then Jacob took fresh rods of poplar and almond and plane and peeled white streaks in them, exposing the white of the rods. He set the rods that he had peeled in front of the flocks in the troughs, that is, the watering places where the flocks came to drink. And since they bred when they came to drink, the flocks bred in front of the rods, so the flocks produced young that were striped, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated the lambs and set the faces of the flocks toward the striped and the completely black animals in the flock of Laban. And he put his own droves apart, and did not put them with Laban's flock. Whenever the stronger of the flock were breeding, Jacob laid the rods in the troughs before the eyes of the flock, that they might breed among the rods. But for the feebler of the flock he did not lay them there, so the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. Thus the man grew exceedingly rich, and had large flocks, and male and female slaves, and camels, and donkeys. Let's be honest. To our modern ears, this is just plain weird. Striped sticks placed where the female animals could see them during mating. Selective breeding based on placing rods in watering troughs. This is completely outside our modern frame of reference. But here's the thing, this isn't what's important here. Don't get sidetracked by this peculiar detail. Just know that it would have made perfect sense to the people at the time. Know the important thing here relates to blessing. Jacob's blessing by God. When Jacob came to Haran and into Laban's household, he was essentially a refugee, fleeing from the wrath of a cheated brother. In the years that followed, Both Laban and Jacob have prospered. Laban admits as much. Jacob also has prospered, and prospered well. The abundance of children born to his wives is a sign of God's favor. And now, even though this appears to be another story of scheming and trickery, the writer makes it about Jacob's blessing through both the abundance of children and the acquisition of large flocks, all things that indicated blessing. Sometimes when it comes to ancient writings such as these, we have to look past the strangeness of the stories to what it is the writer intended for us to see. In this case, Jacob's prosperity for scheming has turned from a vice into a virtue. The schemer not only gets his revenge, he is blessed by God. Strange, but true. Tomorrow, how Israel got its name. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.